Adam, your summer's coming to the end. Training camp starts in less than 2 weeks. How are you setting up for it?
Well, actually, we just started skating ourselves, most of the local guys and some of the local young kids, and actually we have a few kids in from Scotland to kind of skate with us, so help us look at, look into the future as well. I think it's important that we branch out on the British side of things here and make sure we keep our options open for the future. And aside from that, it's just about getting on the ice this week and the following week to kind of get everybody back into it and try and ease everybody back in so that we don't hit the training camp running and cause a bunch of injuries. So we want everybody to get those first few skates pains out of the body, and it allows me to kind of wrap my head around running a practice again and slowly start getting prepared for that as well.
Can you sum up your first season for us?
For me, it was great. I'm obviously a lot of ups and downs, and you always hear coaches speak about the ups and downs of a season, and I don't think I ever really took it in until I sat through it myself. And obviously, a lot of learning curves for me, and hopefully stuff that I can bring into this season with me that will certainly help me as a coach and hopefully help the team.
You've brought back 9 players from last season, starting with Stephen Murphy, who missed a majority of the season with an injury. And along with Tyler Beskorowany, how do you see those two setting up?
I think it's a great tandem. I think that you have one of the top British netminders here. So you bring in a guy like Tyler Beskorowany, is a guy that has had huge success in his career and played in some top leagues. I think that it's going to be a great tandem for us to have, and creates a little bit of competition as well. And I think Murphy is fighting fit now and has fully recovered from his shoulder surgery. So it's just about kind of bringing him along slowly to make sure that we don't re-injure that shoulder as well.
Your defensive core this year, Jim Vandermeer, Mark Garside returned from last season, and the players that you've announced in the roster so far, Kendall McFall, Curtis Leonard, and another British defenseman, Paul Swindlehurst. Do you feel that you're better set up as a defensive core this year than maybe your first season?
Well, I think we were pretty well set up in our first years. A matter of injuries kind of changed things drastically, and obviously we had to call on Jeff Mason, I think he's been retired 14 times so far, but who knows? I think I'm trying to get him out there for a skate this week just to be sure that he's really done. So, and then obviously converting Brandon Benedict into a defenseman who was great for us. All of them. I mean, we had multiple guys have to take a turn at defense last year. So obviously through injuries, it wasn't exactly what we wanted for a defense core last season, but we certainly got the job done. And I think that the guys really stepped up, and nobody really complained about having to switch positions or help out a little bit more in different areas. Everybody kind of bought into trying to push through these injuries that we had last season.
From the returners last year, again, you've got Colin Shields, Dustin Johnner, who again had an injury hit season, and I bumped into him the other day, and he really does look as if he's going to be ready for this coming season.
Yeah, John's a guy obviously had a frustrating year last season. You felt for him. Automatically a standout guy on our team, and one that we were really excited to have. And in terms of his passion for the game, how fast he was on the ice, he finished every hit. He won face-offs. He was solid defensively as a center, and we really are hoping that he's recovered this summer and he's ready to go, because we could really use that. I think that the more we talk about it, it's like a brand new signing to get the Justin Johnner back that we saw at the start of the season.
Darcy Murphy and Jonathan Fernand were announced earlier in the summer, and then just last week, 2 more returnees, and David Rutherford and Blair Riley.
Rudy's a dynamic guy. He's obviously very talented offensively, and not just that though. It's something I learned about him as a player from a coaching perspective is he buys into what you're selling, and he's willing to do the little things as well, and he's definitely a guy that we wanted to try and get back here for this season. And with Blair, obviously, I wanted my captain back. Blair's was at the end of his contract, and obviously you got to wait and see what comes your way. And it was a guy that we kept in touch with constantly throughout the summer. And when we got a chance to get the contract done, he's the guy that I wanted to bring back. He provides that leadership, that power forward type that can really put up the numbers. And something people don't know about Blair is last season he had a back issue from early on in the summer that withheld him from training all summer, and really just to get back fit. And I don't think he ended up missing too many games, maybe one or two throughout the whole season. And it was a process to get him back into fully fit, and to do what he did, coming off a pretty serious injury, and never complained and always worked through it. And I think from Christmas on, I really saw Blair kind of take that lead role and run with it. And I think that I've spoken to him, and he's had a great summer of training, and he's healthy and he's fit and he's ready to come back and take over. And again, my last year playing, you can kind of sense when you're going downhill, and I sense that myself. But I always looked at Blair as a guy that could kind of take over that role from me, and certainly a guy that I wanted to retain.
Three more guys that were announced earlier in the summer. Jonathan Boxall is returning to Belfast after a year away in Milton Keynes. Another Milton Keynes player is Lewis Hook, who you seen a little bit off at the GB camp before the World Championships. And Josh Roach, another player coming off the U Sports system from Canada as well. What's your thoughts on those three players?
Well, Boxy's a guy that we're very familiar with, and he's a guy that's going to do what's asked of him. And I know exactly. I was very comfortable bringing Jonathan Boxall back here. And I know he's looking to prove himself, and he wants to have a big year here as well. And I think that's one of the positive things about Team GB being promoted. I think every British player in this league is going to probably have their best season, and rightfully so. I mean, everybody should want to play in that tournament. And then Lewis Hook is a guy that we kind of kept an eye on all summer or all season last year to kind of watch him and see how he grew as a player. And as the season progressed, and as I seen him in GB, he's certainly a guy that we wanted to bring in here. And again, I spoke about earlier, we do need to be constantly kind of keeping our eye on the young British players, as it's all nice and well to focus on this season, but we also have to focus on the future. And Lewis Hook is a guy that we pegged that we could potentially kind of grow and develop into a top player for us. So I'm excited to have him, and I know that he's excited to, just like Jonathan, have a great year and fight for a spot on that GB team. Josh Roach is a guy that came highly recommended to us from some people back home in Canada. He's coming straight out of the University of Saskatchewan CIS, and as we saw last year with the University of Manitoba Bisons, that that's a good hockey league and a lot of good hockey players, and they're young and full of energy, and they all skate well. And he has the ability to play forward, play defense. He can help out in all areas. So, and then obviously we're bringing in another one of his teammates, who's again another guy, Kendall McFall, who was highly recommended to us, and again one of the top CIS defensemen. And I think that he's really going to do well. I think both of them are going to do well in this league. I think that any guys coming into their first year professional, they really want to prove themselves and prove that they belong and build on their careers. And that's something that we are looking to bring in here and help develop as well, and help push them on to maybe bigger and better careers in Europe or back to North America or whatever it may be. And if they want to stay here and play with their career, that's all the better as well. So obviously two guys that are really going to help this club.
We seem to be getting an awful lot younger within the team this year, but with youth you need that experience as well. You announced last week that ex-NHL player Patrick Dwyer has joined the Giants for 2018-19 season.
Yeah, Paddy's a guy that we spoke to last summer, and he was very interested in Belfast and what we could offer. And I think that the deal just kind of took too long, and as you know, with visas and all that, we kind of got to get things done. So it never got worked out, and it never got done last year. But Now, I spoke to Pat again at the end of this season, and again he expressed interest in coming to Belfast. And this was now started at the start of the summer, so we knew we were going to get this done, and we wanted to work with Patrick and bring him here to Belfast. And that was an important signing for us, a guy that has his type of resume and his experience. And if there's one thing you know about him, you don't play 400 and whatever odd NHL games if you don't play the right way and you don't know how to play away from the puck. And I know that he's going to be a guy that does everything smart and the right way.
Your next player that you'll announce will be the 200th player to be announced as a Belfast Giant, and that's your duty right now.
The 200th player announced to play for the Belfast Giants is number 12, Kyle Bond.
Kyle Bond played for the Laval Rockets and the Toronto Marlies, who you do have a bit of a contact there as well.
Yeah, obviously I spoke to my brother about Kyle, and he gave me the heads up on what type of player to expect. And obviously Kyle's a guy who came straight out of the University of Colgate, and as you know, we've had a few Colgate guys here, and we have one currently with Darcy Murphy. So I think the real tie comes from the Colgate, and obviously those guys still speak, and that just kind of goes to show. We always say, the players are our best recruiters, and how they speak about Belfast as a city and organization. That really comes back to us. He's had a great success right out of college, and he had some games in the NHL, and then a couple full years in the American League, and to get a guy of that caliber to come straight here to Belfast, he's obviously really interested in his schooling, his education. That's important to him, and we're happy to have him here on board, and I'm happy to reunite him with Darcy Murphy.
Can you give us any more insight on any other players that are upcoming, or are you allowed to?
Yeah, I guess we can give you one more. Our next signing is going to be Francis Beauvillier. Francis is a guy that I did my homework on. He played in Manitoba this season. He came straight out of the University of New Brunswick, CIS, 2 years ago, and had a successful stint with Manitoba, and they signed him back to another year. He's a guy that everyone speaks very highly of. He's very fast, he's physical, and he can put the puck in the net. And you get a combination like that, as you've seen recently with a guy like Darcy Murphy, who's fast, physical, and can score. Breeds success over here. And I think that Francis is no different. I think that he's going to come in here and be an impact player for us.
Is that you done for the season, or are you looking to try and tie a couple more signings up before the training camp starts in 12 days' time?
Yeah, I think we still have a couple more to go. I think, obviously, like we talked about earlier, depth is an important thing for us, and we do want to make sure that we have all of our bases covered if there's an injury to start the season, or we don't want to be left with me playing, that's for sure.
What, in your opinion, is a successful season?
It's tough to say what's a successful season. I think last year, winning a Challenge Cup is a success. Obviously, we had some failures other places, but winning a trophy and bringing a trophy back to Belfast was a success for us, and something that we set out to do. Obviously, we won all trophies, and I don't look past all four challenges next year, and I think that we're certainly going to be aiming for all of them. And I guess a successful season is a bit more consistency throughout the 8 months. We need that. I think that we're definitely going to challenge for each trophy, but we need to make sure that we stick with it and continue to build on each week and each game, and we get better and better, and we stay consistent, and we don't get complacent. I know that's on me. That's my job to kind of keep everybody focused and in line and ready for the next game.
We really appreciate your time. I know you've got a busy schedule coming up, and I think from all the Belfast Giants fans moving forward, we wish you all the success for 2018-19.
Cheers, Simon. Thanks.